truth.
Yo, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Market Report. I am Army Piper. This is the Piper Academy Network, and man, are we watching some market data today. Guys, FOMC day is here. 25 basis points is what is really on the table. There is some talk, though. We're starting to see some talk about 50 basis points, and I've told you I don't think a 50 basis point rate cut is a good idea. Historically, it's not been a good play. However, we are sitting right now at near an all-time high on the S&P and on the NASDAQ. And historically, when we cut rates, regardless of the amount, this close to an all-time high, we have seen 12 months later a higher level than what we were when they cut rates. So some of it as high as 22% to the upside. So that's for stock markets. What's that look like for Bitcoin? We have to consider all of that data. Guys, it's all going to happen today. So will we see the typical sell-off of the markets? Will this be a buy the rumor, sell the news, and then we get a nice bottom, opportunity knocks at the door, we pick up there, and we ride this out for another 12 months? Not really sure, but we're going to play it either way. That's what we do. That's the Piper plan covers us in either direction. We are not scared. We are prepared here. Guys, let's go ahead and get all this data down today. Let's get it all out there. Let's tell you guys what you can expect and get this thing rolling. You guys know what time it is. Take your seats, get your notebooks out, classes in session. I'll see you on the other side. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining the Morning Market Report here on the Piper Academy channel. Big shout out to everybody in the chat right now. I see you guys rolling in. I appreciate everyone being here. Let's go ahead and jump over. Let's get OC up here with us. What's up, OC guy? How you doing today, man?
No, I'm doing pretty good. I'm very excited about what's coming. I mean, we'll see that maybe by the rumor, sell the news stuff. I don't know, but other than that, this is going to be a pretty shaky day, I would say, because everybody's just been waiting for this. As well, we see, I mean, predictions of pumps. We see predictions of dumps. So we'll see. We'll see how that rolls.
I mean, right now we are seeing some red on the crypto bubbles, but if you guys see that ticker down below, you guys may not know this. It's the same one that TradeFly uses. I made it, and he took it with them because it's a really good ticker. That is in real time. So, I mean, it might be a little delayed by like a few seconds, but overall we're seeing quite a bit of green down there. Ethereum's up, Casp is up, PayPay's up, XRP is up, Solana's up, even though we've got this sell-off in the past hour. So we're going to take a look at what all of that looks like today. Also, Circle up right now, $144.80 a share. Circle is pumping. So if you guys were picking that up down there at the bottoms where I said this is probably creating support, then you're doing good there. But yeah, let's go over and give a shout out to the chat. Let's talk to them for a minute. Shout out to Crypto Coin Mindset. We're redirecting over to Crypto Coin Mindset and TI Joe today after the stream. So make sure you guys stay right here on the Piper Academy Network. We'll load you up on the bus and take you over there. Don't worry. Shout out to WixY Fine 89. Harp is in the house. BC Port Corp. Rashad is in here with us. Who else do we got? DDT. He's lurking and doing things. So Steve Hickey's in here. We've got Mike Play, JR, our trader, our community trader. He's been dropping some fire over there in the Discord too. What else? Who else? BC Port Corp. I got you, bro. I appreciate you being here, man. Alexander G, the mod queen. Baba Yaz is in here with us with Piper Academy OC. Piper Academy OC. I see it there. Let's see. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Give a shout out. Dylan VA. I see you, man. Appreciate you. Donata Cabrera. And I think that's about it on here. T.I. Joe was in here first. Oh, Ninja Glock. We got Ninja Glock in here dropping in this morning. So appreciate everyone being here. Drop a good morning in the chat, man. It's always a pleasure to have the alumni in the house with us. All right, OC. We got a lot of data to break down today. We're also going to talk about foreign investments today, because I found something interesting, a little cross section here from a couple of posts, did some aggregating of the data, did some research with ChatGPT, unhedged purchases of U.S. stocks versus hedged. And we'll talk about what that means. But the DXY could be setting up a disappointment for a lot of investors right now. And we'll see what that looks like. We'll talk about all of those. Just stay tuned for it. But yeah, guys, today, FOMC, the big day is here. It's going to be happening this afternoon. So make sure you guys are paying attention to what's going on in the markets. OC, are you ready to break down what's going on with Bitcoin right now? I dropped a little thing last night in the Discord about that Bitcoin was about to punch through a golden pocket, and it did not. It actually rejected on the golden pocket. So go do your layout, and then I'm going to come back, talk about what we saw yesterday on the fibs, and then we'll get into the news and data. Let's go. What you got for us, OC?
Absolutely. So let's take a look at where we left out from yesterday. Well, pretty simple here, and we should be already into a long. Remember, we were looking for this retracement back down, back into this area, looking for that motion to the upside. Well, your entry was all across this area, all right? And then, well, of course, taking your early profits right away as we're hitting some resistances. Let me see if I can get TradingView to display my oscillator, because it's a very important part right now in this analysis, and it is just missing it out. But in the meantime, let me just use or take a look at what's going on. We're still within a strong uptrending here. We're getting to a previous resistance as we were expecting yesterday, right? And we have a bearish divergence with a retracement. Important. Seems like we might be making a little bit of a goose getting here. Where money flow is still going very well, very strong. And well, then at this point, we are trying to push through, right? So for the most part, I would say that this is a range that we're going to be seeing throughout today. And not, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is just to illustrate that we're in a range. But today, when we start seeing Jerome Powell start speaking, things might start pushing. And despite we don't have the strength in here, well, things might be changing in a little while. And well, we just see a lot of divergences, and that's because of the amount of volatility that we have on the markets. But so far, so good. I mean, at this point, we need to be very, very, very careful, because the pump has already been going for a long time. I mean, we started right here on August 31st, right? And then all the way till today, or well, our first toppy here at Friday the 12th. So basically, this week has been flat-ish, slightly pumping upwards. So we'll see. Pretty excited to see how are those announcements. And I believe personally, if you ask me to predict what's going to happen, I think we're going to have this and then like that. Maybe hitting some highs right here at 122, and then having another retracement. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we can catch more of these parameters or more of this movement on the 30 minutes, but I will be trading this live. If you guys are hackers, you can watch us doing so. And well, that's what we're going to be doing, or that's where we're going to be trading it.
Yep, we got our class with the chart hackers today, so we'll be over there in that Discord because it's a Chart Prime thing, and so that's who OC works for, and that's who I get contracted to do some stuff for. So let's go talk about what I'm seeing on the Bitcoin chart, man. Looking here at this Bitcoin chart, guys, this is last night. We were sitting right in here, and I said, look, money flow is coming up. Volume is starting to come up. I think we're going to punch right through this golden pocket. I said it's likely to punch right through this golden pocket here and keep going. Well, we got rejected in the golden pocket, started to pull back down. But I want to talk about this level right here where we're getting this doji candle, the bottom side of this wick. You can see money flow has given us a downtrend. Money flow is starting down. I mean, the oscillator gave us a downtrend. Oscillator has turned red, but volume still looks pretty decent on the 4-hour. But take a look here. We're pulling this fixed range volume profile from all the way back here where we started to do lower highs or higher lows and higher lows, right? Take a look at the point of control. We are bouncing on it right now. I do think that we could come down. I'm looking at like 115,630 for a possibility of a good long entry here, because that's going to be sitting nice there. but I am a little concerned that if we lose the point of control, where we could be heading down to. There's not a lot in there. 180, this 0.887 at 114,485 might be another good spot. So maybe a part one, part two for that bounce to the upside. But I think that we do get a move today for a quick money grab for some longs. But there's a really good chance that when we have this event today, FOMC rate cut numbers come out, we could see a buy the rumor, sell the news, as we have said. So let's go get in on the news, OC, break all of that down, and then let's come back and let's talk about it, and then take a look at what else we're seeing on the charts. Again, Circle, they're actually seeing a little pullback now. It's 141.65, but yeah, it looks like overall NASDAQ and S&P and stuff like that is not looking the greatest right now. Big reason, I'll go over that too, has to do with NVIDIA and China. So jumping over to the news, guys, all the news that's fit to be news. There we go. Let's get that in there. Perfect. Let's talk about the metrics on Into the Cryptoverse right now. Looking at the crypto market cap sitting at 4.027 trillion. Oh, by the way, shout out to Daniel Barnes. I saw you in the chat there, bro. Good to see you, man. $4.027 trillion. The trend is at 4.367 trillion. Undervaluation currently right now sitting at negative 7.79. Looking at the current risk levels, we're at 0.551. That's still a 2x DCA on the Piper plan. So if you have not done so this week, you'll probably get a good opportunity today to do that. Looking at the Bitcoin dominance, we're at 57.53% still. Take away the stables, we're still in that 61 to 62% range. Not really seeing a huge sell-off there when you take stables out. A lot of money going in the stable coins. But how is Altseason looking? Well, refresh this. I want to make sure I got the most recent data, but it looks like right now we're in Altseason, guys. That is 75.56. See it right there? Right there? There you go. 75.56%, which means we are back in Altseason according to the index. It is currently Altseason according to Into the Cryptoverse. How long will it last? 7 days? 17 days? Who knows? Enjoy it while it lasts. That's what I'll put out there. What about liquidations for the past 24 hours? Well, in the past 24 hours, we had 90,957 traders get liquidated. Total liquidations came in at $169.18 million. Largest single liquidation order, it wasn't on Binance. It was Pump. Go figure. $1.9 million liquidation on that. Let's go talk about this. Nope, not that. That's later. That's your later, sir. Do we have a new fear and greed index? I bet we do, because that one was 4 hours old. We do, 13 minutes ago. Look at that. Let's put that up there and then refresh and get rid of the other one, and we'll talk about the fear and greed indexes. Yeah, it always comes out like right when we start the show. No change on it though, guys. 53, still sitting in neutral right now. Not greedy, not fearful, just neutral on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. Both of them, same number, 53, sitting in neutral. This is that news that I was talking about this morning. Breaking: China has officially banned companies from purchasing NVIDIA's chips. NVIDIA has become the pawn of the U.S.-China trade war, and we're seeing that on the NASDAQ, which we'll look at in just a moment, guys. Looking at the crypto bubbles, Bitcoin right now setting up 1% on the daily, flat on the hourly. Looking at Ethereum, up 1.5%. Big movers for today. BNB's up 3%. Dogecoin's up 3.1%. Hyperliquid, again, native token to a decentralized exchange, and they do buy Hyperliquid token with their fees. So it's up 4.2% today. A lot of trading going on over there. And that's really about it in the top 20 for big movers, guys. Kind of flat here today. Some things are in the red. Look at Chainlink going the opposite direction of $800. Can someone call TA Tim? Looking here at the stock markets, guys. NASDAQ currently down 0.3% to the downside. This is the effect that we are seeing from that NVIDIA ban from China. Big company. Big sell-off, right? And so we're seeing the NASDAQ right now down 0.29. Matter of fact, if we jump over here and take a look at that NASDAQ chart, where are you, NASDAQ chart? I guess I don't have it in here. We'll take a look at that in a moment. OC, can you pull up the NASDAQ chart for us and just see how it's looking here on the daily, or not the daily, on lower time frame, like hourly? I want to see how that's looking on the actual chart. And when I see it up on here, I'll pull you up for a second. But right now, guys, that is sending the NASDAQ down to the downside. S&P is about flat. Dow Jones is up about 0.5%, and small caps up 0.72. But we are seeing that volatility index in the green right now, still sitting below that 17 threshold, but we are seeing that the volatility index is up. Let's look at the bond market. 10-year treasury yield up just very slightly. It's at 4.0 still, so I'll take it. How about gold? Gold is down 0.28, which is still above $3,700. Silver is down about 1.4%, still sitting above 42. Copper, platinum, and palladium all moving to the downside today. So OC, you got that NVIDIA chart up?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's jump over there. I want to look at that NVIDIA chart because I think we are seeing some the sell-off on the NVIDIA affecting the. Yeah,
Absolutely.
how's that looking?
That's looking pretty good. I mean, and why am I saying pretty good? Because we were expecting not the actual sell-off, but a movement to the downside, right? So if you take a look at where we left out when we looked at this gap, well, we needed to close that gap, right? And we made another gap. Nonetheless, we were expecting an oscillated pattern right here, right? Maybe going to this area of support. And why do we have that support? Because right there, we have a concentration not only from our predictive ranges, but also we had, if I'm not mistaken, there we go, another set of predictive ranges. So yeah, predicted over predictive. And why does that happen, you may ask? That is because I have a different
Why does that happen, OC?
One, thank you for asking. So the one is on the 12 hours and the other one it is on the 4 hours, right? And I do that because since a predictive mathematics relies on a buffering zone, having in two different scenarios, it gave you that two calculations where you can create a gap of possible entries, right? Or a gap of possible big support or big resistance based on two predictive mathematics. It's like, for example, trying to predict the lottery numbers, right? You don't use one factor. You use multiple factors to give you closer and closer to that ballpark, right? That's exactly what I tried to do with the predictive ranges. And well, the target, sadly, it is somewhere around 160, which is not that bad. I mean, we're creating that megaphone, and that megaphone bottom might come to that area right there. Still, in the meantime, let's just bring up our order blocks, and we see that our first bounce is still within clutch right here, somewhere around the 167. So expect the 167, 165 for these maybe 2 or 3 candles up ahead to keep pushing downwards, I would say.
Yeah, I actually would expect that that it would have been lower with that type of news because China banning NVIDIA chips purchases for all their companies. I thought it would actually be further down than that, but it is seeing you got what kind of percentage is that on that drop there, OC?
Absolutely, checked it out. Since we saw that coming, it was a 5.7%. 407.
Yeah, and you got to remember the market cap of NVIDIA is massive, so 5% is a lot of money coming out of the Nasdaq. Again, that's why we're seeing that sell off today on the Nasdaq, and very likely why we're seeing it on the S&P also, because the S&P 500 does have the Nasdaq in it also. So there you go. There you go.
Let me bring a point in here up with counteracting maybe that big drop. It is that, hey, if it's not China banning himself, it was before the US banning China from getting NVIDIA chips, right? So
That's
nothing had really
So a lot of it's
changed.
already really cooked in there at this point. So yeah. But
Exactly.
they were still able to get H2O chips and stuff like that. Now they can't get any chips. So, but 5% of the market cap of NVIDIA is pretty hefty. What's up? What do you got?
Although they can get those chips, not legally, and they
True.
can.
True.
Yeah.
If you China, if you would like to get chips, contact OC guy in Mexico who does not have any tariff issues. Just saying, there might be people out there that have done that. I'm just, maybe. I don't know. Let's jump back over. I'm not telling anyone how to loophole and backdoor the tariff situation, okay? Let's jump back in on the news. Guys, we did get the 30-year mortgage rate this morning. Came in at 0.1% lower than previously, so it's now 6.39 on that 30-year mortgage. But I want to show you guys something that's going on here with the housing market. Okay, let's look at this top section here, just the top section. We're going to look at MBA mortgage applications, mortgage market index, mortgage market finance, refinancing, and then purchases. Okay, and this is all mortgages. This equates to demand. Look at this. Was it 9.2? Came in at 29.7. Major uptick. Mortgage market index was at 297, up now at 386. Mortgage refinance was at little over 1 million, now over 1.5 million. MBA purchase index was at 169, now up at 174. Demand is increasing. Look at the building though. Building permits and housing starts was at 1.36 million, now at 1.31. Was at 1.42 million, now at 1.3. Was at negative 2.2, now negative 3.7. Housing starts was up positive 3.4, now down 8.5% negative. Guys, this is supply. Demand is increasing. Supply is shrinking. I think we're going to see a resurgence here on home values if this continued glide path happens, because we're inverting. we're inverted here. What demand is coming up and the supply is coming down. So where's the other data that we're going to get today? That is going to be the FOMC stuff. Let's put this on 2 stars. And let's talk about that. That's going to be at 1 p.m. today. It's going to be 12 p.m. or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So New York time, 2 p.m. We're going to get that Fed rate decision. Right now, they're expecting a 25 basis point. FOMC projections also come out at that point. And then we get 30 minutes later, Jerome Powell talking. I think that's where you're going to really see the market volatility kick in, because it's going to be a matter of the hawkish versus dovish terminology, tone, and stuff that he uses. Of course, if you guys are wanting to trade that live and you're in Hackers, we'll be on Hackers. If you're not in the chart Hackers over there, then I suggest everyone go to Alex O Crypto. He will be live today trading this. So make sure you guys are tuned into Alex O. Let's go talk about what the chances are of a 25 versus 50 basis points right now. Looking at the CME group, we're at a 94% chance of 25 basis points, 6% chance now of a 50 basis point rate cut. I do believe it's going to be 25 basis points. I'm really hoping it's not 50 basis points. I've showed you guys what that looks like. 6 out of the last 7 times that we've had rate cuts of 50 basis points under emergency situations, aka the housing market collapse, we have seen recessions begin. So not looking good there. Looking at this article here from CNBC, is the Fed throwing gasoline on a fire with the rate cut? Let's talk about that. The Fed Reserve could ignite something big in stocks when it inevitably lowers its benchmark lending rate later in the day, but not something that could be great long-term for the market and the economy. Actually, I'm going to bring you up here with me, OC, because we're going to come back and talk about this. Come on up here. Let's go. Longtime market watcher Ed Yardeni likened the Fed's all but certain rate reduction to throwing gasoline on a fire. In a note to clients Tuesday, the same day of the S&P 500 touching a fresh new all-time high, and while the labor market has shown signs of slowing, overall U.S. economic growth remains solid. Wednesday's rate cut isn't really needed, Yardeni said. More often than not in the past, monetary easing cycles started when the previous tightening of monetary policy triggered a financial crisis. And that quickly turned into an economy-wide credit crunch and a recession. But the Fed cut by 100 basis points that they did last year, even though there was no credit crunch and no recession, that makes another round of rate cuts in this cycle more likely to cause inflation and remain above the Fed's target of 2%, while fueling speculative fires in the stock market. So the market could take off in the short term, but longer term, we'll have to pay the piper. Pay me for letting inflation and speculative excess loose again. So is it a sell the news day, right? That's really what the big question is. The S&P 500 is up 12.3% in 2025. Traders are piling into more speculative names. Paramount Skydance, for instance, is up 67%. Palantir is up 125%. And history shows the stock market does indeed rip higher when the Fed lowers rates, when the benchmark's S&P is less than 1% from its all-time high. We've talked about that all week. When we are near all-time highs on the stock market and we cut rates, we typically see a 30-day pullback in the markets, but overall, over the next 12 months, we see a rally. So is it a sell in the news day? Another camp on Wall Street Wednesday fears that a rate cut could actually lead to some immediate downside pressure, maybe as soon as today. Many feel there will be a sell the news response to this outcome since the narrative had already swung aggressively towards the dovish end of the spectrum. JP Morgan's trading desk on Wednesday echoed, noting, as we look toward month end, Fed Day may act as a sell the news event as investors take time to consider the macro events. The Fed reaction function potentially stretch position, a temporarily weaker corporate buyback bid. The bank's traders recommended buying mega cap tech stocks in the event of a pullback, along with utilities and healthcare sectors. So what are they saying? They're saying if we get the pullback today, opportunities knocking at the door. That's literally what we just talked about. And a lot of analysts are echoing what I think is going to happen. I think we are going to get opportunity today with the pullback. If we don't, we're already positioned, obviously, because we own our assets as of right now. I hope most of you guys still have assets. We called it in April. Time to start picking up again. And what happened in April? We pretty much hit another bottom side and started moving up again. So, it's echoing a lot of what I think. I think we will see a little bit of pullback. We could have a month of pullback according to historicals, but there is a thing over here that we're going to go over in just a second that I want to talk about, and it's about the hedged versus unhedged purchases of stocks and what that means. So, OC, your thoughts on today? Do you think we get a sell the news today, or are we going to get a fake out? Everyone is expecting it now, sell the news, right? And then we get a rally off of it. What do you think happens today when they announce their rate cut levels?
Well, I do expect a push down. Well, that was what I was expecting, but right now everything is kind of like having that little retracement, right? I mean, we see in Bitcoin right now retracing as we speak. I see XRP already retracing yesterday. For example, I mean, yesterday I was trading XRP somewhere around these areas, have a little nice run up, and right now it's not only went below my entry point, it is not actually catching up back above. So would we be seeing this pullback down? Well, I mean, I do have another re-entry, for example, right here on XRP at somewhere at 293. And that is in case we have that sell out actually going lower and maybe having a V-shaped recovery. So what I expect to have, it is, yes, a pullback, but not that big of a pullback. Maybe at worst 114 and hold it there. Seems like, well, as you mentioned it, everybody was expecting it already. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I mean, as you already have seen, I do expect a little pullback and then push through.
Yeah, that will be the opportunity that I'm talking about. Shout out to Alex O Crypto in the chat. We just told everybody, if you want to trade this craziness today, make sure you go over to Alex O Crypto Show. And we dropped the link there, Alex O. Much love to you, bro. So let's go talk about this, OC. Everyone is still buying. This is from FX Evolution that I follow on X, and I did a little bit of data searching on with Bloomberg on this. Everyone is still buying U.S. stocks, but they're doing it hedged. And what does that mean? You guys can see here, unhedged is on a spike versus or is dropping versus hedged on a spike. We've inverted completely here on the share of domicile ETFs inflows into U.S. assets, unhedged versus hedged. We'll talk about that first. I want to go over here and talk about what that means, and then we'll come and talk about the DXY. If you want to go ahead and pull up the DXY chart, OC, that would be a great help for what's coming next. So I said, explain this. Everyone is still buying buying U.S. stocks, but they're doing it hedged. Source Bloomberg. I dropped a chart in there, and good old Pam, Piper Academy market assistant here, breaking it down for us. She said, what's happening? Figure one, since 2024, the hedged inflows, are the light blue, have been catching up to and even surpassing unhedged. That means most foreign investors are no longer just buying U.S. assets outright. They're layering on currency hedges. So basically, 2/3 of all ETF inflows are now hedged. 66% of them historically have flipped back and forth, but the latest move is heavily one-sided. That means that they think that the US dollar is going to go lower. Foreign investors care not just about the US assets performance, but also about currency fluctuations. So if the dollar falls, unhedged foreign buyers lose money, even if the US stock rises, right? Because the valuation versus the US dollar, it means that it's losing valuation. Hedging protects them from these swings, but costs extra, so they can pay extra and then buy it outside of the US dollar, and then that means they're hedging that purchase. The fact that hedged inflows now dominate means investors are worried that the dollar could weaken, or at least that the volatility is too high to ignore. So they're hedging their purchases of US stocks with a currency safety net. The so what? Money is still flowing into U.S. markets. Demand for U.S. equities and bonds is strong, but investors are saying we want the U.S. returns, not the U.S. dollar risk. The shift can pressure the U.S. dollar since fewer people need to buy dollars if they hedge. For U.S. markets, it's bullish. Capital is still coming in, but for the U.S. dollar, it's potentially bearish. So when Bloomberg or analysts say everyone's still buying U.S. stocks, but they're doing a hedge, they mean foreigners still like U.S. assets. They're not pulling out, but they don't trust the dollar to hold up. But let's go talk about this, and then OC is going to bring up the chart and show us. This is a bullish divergence on the dollar, forming a higher low than in July, testing the lower 3 standard deviation Bollinger Band on the 20-day, coming on a mother of all trend lines support, and everything in the world seems overbought. I'm holding 10% cash, the second largest of all years, what this individual has here. So I took this data and I said, let's talk about this. First of all, the capital inflows on crypto. We'll come back and talk about the so what on that. But the thing that everyone needs to know about is this dollar thing. The sharp read, let's unpack what's happening with the DXY. Technical setup, bullish divergence. RSI is making higher lows while price has been making lower lows. That often signals a reversal. The mother of all trend lines, a moat. You got a long-term descending resistance, turn potential support being tested. Markets respect these levels. If the DXY bounces, dollar strength equals headwind for risk assets. A bounce in the dollar usually pressures equities, commodities, and especially crypto. Bitcoin tends to trade inversely to the DXY. Cash gets stronger, 10% cash position benefits because it means you're going to have money to operate at those lower levels, right? And that's what we want to do. I said, so what happens to the hedged U.S. stocks if this DXY setup plays out? Bullish divergence on the dollar, so on and so forth. It says, great question. The hedged U.S. stock positions, the ones that they did the currency safety net on, if the dollar bounces, hedged investors will lose the currency hedge benefit, right? Their equity exposure is fine, but the hedge drags on performance because they paid for insurance that they didn't need. Unhedged U.S. stock positions, they get the double benefit. U.S. stocks rising plus the U.S. dollar strengthening, that magnifies returns for foreign investors. There is a rotation risk there. If the DXY strengthens, the incentive to hedge disappears. We could see flows rotate back towards unhedged inflows, reversing that extreme 2/3 hedge ratio that we saw in the Bloomberg chart. Market impact. Crypto and gold, it's likely headwinds. Both tend to struggle when the dollar flexes higher. So just keep this in mind and be aware of it. OC, let's jump over and look at that DXY chart. And on the higher time frames, are we seeing some divergences? What are we seeing on the chart prime oscillators? What are they telling us about a potential bounce on the DXY?
All right, so let's go check that out. Well, it's a little bit uncertain at this point. Despite I don't see an actual bullish divergence actually prolonging the bullish divergence that we had. It was a triple bullish divergence till this point. Right now, till then, we haven't created another peak. That doesn't mean that it's not going to form. Sorry for that. And let's continue. Like, for example, and this is the weekly. All right. So this is the weekly. When a divergence happens, it's when we have a one direction. So in this case, our oscillator is going one direction, and the price action is going the other way around, right? A bullish divergence, it means that despite we are having a higher volume, all right, or a higher momentum, we are seeing a lower price action. That usually tends to be based on manipulation or factors that people get either over leverage, over secure, or over something, right? So they sometimes unwillingly, because of the mass collection of the reaction of these traders, they manipulate the market, right? So that is what a divergence usually means. And right now we have one, two, a triple divergence. And can we have another one? Yes, we could have another one if we create, or when we create this peaking here, and if we create a lower peak in here, lower area right there. If we create those two, we will have another bullish divergence. But important, I would say, this not that much of the divergence. I mean, yes, divergence are cool. They show you when we have manipulation of the market or disparity between the volume direction and the actual price direction. Not always. I mean, I need to make sure that I disclaim this. It's not always manipulation or intended manipulation, right? It's just weighted values based on mass reaction. Um, Therefore, I mean, I think we can pair, or we should be pairing it with order block support and resistance in some predictive ranges. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So what is our target if we start moving downwards? All right. So if that is a thing, all right. Right now we're pitching through our order block. So the next target will be at 94.88. Then, if we go even lower, or if we start turning things on in here, you will see that not even there. We might even go slightly lower, somewhere around 95 ish, right? Instead of 94. And then if we start adding a couple of other stuff, like for example, order blocks, we are creating another order block that we're taking that volume out right now. Let me see, for example, and let me bring out my Fibonacci's easy tools in case you're looking for one of those. Remember, Chart Prime got you covered. Or Chart Prime does, we create free indicators for you to use. So let's go check out our FIVP. Those is basically Fibonacci made easier. And our target, it is somewhere around 96, or even our POC, which goes around 95. So can we create another divergence? Yes. What would the target be? 95. So let's add an alert right there. And well, then I would think that that will be the support to follow along. If we start losing that support, the divergence most likely is going to fail. And then we're going to have a cancellation or a counteract divergence, if that makes sense. So it will be, hey, everything cancel. But also, let me just clear this up for a second. Look at the pattern that we're having, right? Usually, these kind of patterns, either a downwards range or a here is a, sorry for that, a wedge, all right, tend to break to the upside like this. All right, this is not a confirmation. This is what they tend to do in most of the cases. So everything is pairing up that we might be getting closer to a support. And once again, where is that support? Let me just turn this off. Look at this bottom, look at this bottom, and well, if we pair it with a POC, we actually can make this a little bit lower like this and higher like that, and we will have, then there we go, an area between the 95 and the 95 99, so 96, all the way to 94.84 for the bottom of that wedge, to then start reversing upwards. So yep, seems like that most likely that bullish divergence is going to continue on the weekly. Going to something more closer, like the 4-hour time frame, well, we have basically broke the previous support, and let me bring on my oscillator. Here it is, and we have created another lower low in here. That means that we are pushing upwards, although we are also again on the same direction. So no bullish divergence in here, although we can still go all the way back down here and then find our support. So far so good. weekly, we do have that possibility of the divergence playing out. On 4 hours, we're getting closer to our 96 target. So once again, keep an eye on that 96%.
And I'm going to make a guess that we do not get a bounce on the DXY. And it has to do with gold. First of all, shout out to RS Miller. Hope you have safe travels, brother. But as VC Port Corp said there, I love gold. OC, do you know what's going on? Do you know what's going on? What they're talking about? They're not trying to do it yet. They're talking about it. Do you know what's going on with gold and the Federal Reserve since August right now?
Are they trying to bring it back? The gold reserves or the gold standard?
So
no?
you know the U.S. supposedly, allegedly has about 250 to 260 million ounces of gold. Okay, do you know what the valuation is on every ounce of gold per ounce for the U.S. government right now?
No, what is it?
$42. $42 per ounce. Yes, because of when it got locked in and they gave the certificates out for all those banks that turned it into the Fed Reserve when they could no longer own gold, it was $42 an ounce. Scary enough, right? But it's $42.22 per troy ounce. I'll bring this over here and we'll talk about it. What is gold revaluation? So the Fed Reserve, it wants to do this, and they're talking about it. They want to do this revaluation of gold from that 42.22 to the current price, which is not 3,300, by the way. Now it's 3,700. And that would be able to go, okay, here's what we allow the banks to have in cash, right? For receipts to give us $42.22 per ounce. Okay, we're going to up the value of it to the fair value of 3,700. And now the banks need to give us that money for the Fed Reserve. It equates to about $1 trillion, OC. $1 trillion of cash inflow, which means the U.S. government could essentially, at that point, with net neutral, right, create $1 trillion more of U.S. dollars. Keep that in mind.
Where was that paper gonna come from?
The banks are going to have to produce it to the Fed Reserve. Okay, it's net neutral. What happens to that, though? There's another play going on here that you guys need to connect the pieces on. It has to do with this. This is from congress.gov. This is the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And I want to bring your attention to right here, Section 2C. Federal Reserve System gold certificates, not later than 180 days after the date of enactment of this act, the Federal Reserve Bank shall tender all outstanding gold certificates in their custody to the Secretary. That would be the Treasury, right? Not later than 90 days after the tender of such certificate, which is the $42.22 ones, the Secretary shall issue new gold certificates to the Federal Reserve banks that reflect the fair market value price of the gold held against such certificates by the Treasury, meaning they would now hold certificates for $3,700 gold as of the date specified by the Secretary on each new gold certificate. Upon issue by the Secretary, each Federal Reserve Bank that receives new gold certificates shall remit the difference in cash value between the old and the new gold certificates for deposit in the general fund within 90 days. They want to use those gold certificate remittances to purchase 1 million Bitcoin. And guys, this is Congress and the Federal Reserve's official websites. FedReserve.gov, Congress.gov. I think the dollar crashes even harder and Bitcoin goes even harder. And that is $1 trillion. And they're talking 1 million Bitcoin. So, I mean, let's do quick math here. 1 million Bitcoin. 1,000,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Divided by, we'll just call it 115. Okay, 115,000. That's going to be, that would be, no, I did that wrong. That would be 1 million, sorry, 1 million Bitcoin that they're purchasing times $115,000. There we go. You're talking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. $11.5 billion that they're talking about moving into Bitcoin. So, and then the rest of it would go towards debt, just so you guys know, that's the plan. So, but yeah, that's what we have going on here at this point. These are official, the Congress.gov and the FedReserve.gov talking about these two things. And if you guys remember when Scott Bessent came out and he said, we're not buying any Bitcoin, and then it dumped, right? And then he came back out and he said, we're not buying any Bitcoin, but we will acquire it through net neutral means. Net neutral is the actual wording used in the Fed Reserve's gold revaluation. So shout out to another video. It's a YouTube video that I caught yesterday. Let me see if I can find the guy's name, but he broke this all down super well. Give me a second and I'll tell you guys who it was that said all of this. Where is he at? It is here, Heresy Financial. I'll drop a link here on this and put it in the chat for you guys to check out. But shout out to him on putting this all together. Beautiful. Share, copy link. There we go. And then I'll drop it right here in the chat for you guys. You guys make sure you go follow. He's a super smart dude. Is it going to go? Is it going to go? I don't know. I'll try to get it in there for the chat for you guys. But Heresy Financial is the one that put all this together. And I went and did the digging around and confirmed it all, because I don't just take what people say at face value. I like to go and see what actual data is there. So, but yeah, it's all kept checking out. So OC, that's what I've got on gold and Bitcoin. This is why we're just going to continue to DCA. It's the way. Piper plan for the win. The further down it goes, the more multiplier we put in on that Bitcoin purchase. And I am about to sell a house on Friday with quite a bit of profits from 2019 to current. So I will be putting that money into some Bitcoin, but I will not ape in. I refuse to. Always going to do that DCA. Paul Hindenburg said, will there be a Fed audition, including the vault examination if the gold is there? Probably not, Paul. Probably not. They will not ever do that, I don't think. And I think if they did, they would just show you, hey, look, here's all the gold, and that would be the end of it. They ain't going to let anybody go in there and go, let me test this shit. But OC, how are we looking on altcoins, man? Let's get that going and let's see how we're looking there.
Absolutely. So starting with CRV, because we've been keeping an eye on CRV. I was trying to get, again, as always, try to get that short. I was not around, decided not to trade through the weekend. That's when he hit my resistance and then plumb back down. In this case, we're looking for a little scenario where we can decide where is it going to be going. Remember, we were looking for that peak performance and that reversal. That reversal was there, but the peak performance wasn't. And well, then as we had that peak performance and it hit our support, I decided to jump in the quarter of a position. Important here, I am expecting to have a little bit of a range, and based on that range, either break to the upside or break to the downside. But based on that range, I could start predicting where is it going to be breaking through, all right? And most importantly, hedging that range. Something that is going on in here is look at the strength that we have in here as we're going lower, and then finally, as we keep bouncing back up. So we have strength on the bearishness and we are ranging. That is good news when we want to see a pump. That is because what do you think is going to happen when we start going bullish? Well, then most likely we are going to go up if the strength remains the same. Yes, I do expect a little bit fall back down in here and then a continuation. Just like, let me show you, like we had right here. Look at how that strength went up and then coming back down and then a continuation. And if you take a look at what happened right here, we were going bearish, all right, and then we took off, come back down, and then a continuation. By the way, I don't think that this kind of movement is going to repeat in here. I don't think that we're going to go that high, but I'm looking for the pattern. The pattern so far is telling me that there is a chance that we make a big movement. And how big? Well, to the next resistance that comes around somewhere around the 0.79, 0.78 cents. All right, so that will be something like, I don't know, a 5% or 10%, a 10% movement, which is not that bad. I mean, if you're using 5x, well, then you do the math. You're just basically duplicating that or multiplying that by 5. Right, so that's what I got on CRV. Let's go check out Ethereum. Ethereum, hashtag F Ethereum. All right, so we were looking for that golden pocket entry here. Yesterday I was saying, hey, we're about to hit it. Let's just wait for the next reaction, so that for the movement going upwards in here. And well, since we were very flat in here, I decided not to jump into this long. I was expecting this, but sorry for that. But I was then looking for the breakout retest. So we had the breakout in here. We had the retest right on clutch right there. And right on here, we still had, remember, as we went back up and down, we supposed to be taking some profits. And right now, we're getting back at entry points. At this point, I'm not going to hold this trade open. I'm just going to move my stop to entry. And then if I see another opportunity, I'll jump back in. I still think that based on what I'm seeing on Bitcoin, let's go back and check out Bitcoin. Look at that. It's going low, but we're turning bullish in here, and we could absolutely be creating right here a goose head, or we have a goose head and having that continuation upward. So we're looking for that retracement to then push forward. All right. So based on that, I'm saying that we could get all the way back again to 4,432, or even to the platinum pocket to then have a big run up on Ethereum. So we'll see how that goes. Going to XRP. XRP has been a little flat since we lose the trend line. Yes, we have a breakout for this bullish flag, right? And well, despite I was looking for, or I am looking for maybe a continuation downwards, we see that we're pushing to get some bullishness in here. What would happen if we have a reversal diamond? First, I want to see our strength pushing up, and I would like to see my oscillator, and that's what I think is going to happen. Something like, let me show you, something like this, all right, where we have that movement downwards, and then we have the push forward, all right, well, we do this kind of movement, and you can see it right there. Maybe this one was a little bit exaggerated. Maybe we can go a little bit higher, like, I don't know, like that, all right, coming back downwards, somewhere around here. And then I would need to adjust, there it is, my entry alert a little bit higher, right there we go. Yep, that is it. And you see that a adjustment was needed, so somewhere around 2.97 all the way to 2.95 for then the possible next support. Let's go check out BNB. BNB has been actually playing and performing very, very nicely. All right, so remember last time when we left out, we had a support zone, right? Sorry, resistance zones right in here, and then we have a sharp change of direction. Look at that. That was unexpected. Look at how fast that direction changed. All right, it was going up, then going back down. Looked like we want to go below, so we keep pushing forward, looking for that divergence, and finally we have out of nowhere, there we go, that push through it, right? In fact, exactly where Piper was mentioning, hey, those proprietary coins that might be outperforming right now, right? So that's exactly what we had, that push on inflow, right? We ended up breaking through the resistance zone. Remember, previous resistance becomes new support. Your entry, as we have, there we go, our flip of the ribbon, crossing over that zero line. And right now, we are just holding on. Look at the strength, coming back down, all right? But we are bullish, which tells me that a range should be playing out in here. Again, not that big of a range. That big of a range is just to illustrate that we might have a range in here, but maybe something like that. In the meantime, we have the Fed numbers pushing a direction or pushing a narrative. Let's go to Solana, because Solana has been playing on very nicely. Yesterday, we did had a retracement, and this is looking almost exactly as Ethereum. Let's go back to gold just so I can bring up Ethereum charting here so we can compare it. Here is Ethereum. All right, let me clear this up so we can see it cleanly. All right, and it seems like we're going up, down, and a little ranging here. All right, let's go back to Solana. Up, down, and a little ranging there. All right, so that doesn't mean that everything is lost. We are keep tracking on this, and the only thing that we need to do is prolong our trend line right there. Why not in here and then maybe call it for a breakout? Well, because we still don't know if this is going to be a breakout. So for now, I see that we can go over. Let me zoom in here as much as I can. I can see that I can still catch this low, this low, this low, and maybe this other low. So maybe I can actually adjust a little bit better. There we go. And you can see that still right here in parity with those supports that we have, which indicates me that, well, then the market has already an indecision section, or is on an indecision section. If we see a sharp movement to a downside, beware that we are also could be moving upwards in here. And there it is. We're going to be looking for that golden line to then maybe, if we see that reversal, jump back in on Solana. I'll be moving my alerts slightly above. And let's end up with a link in here. So link, there we go. I was looking for a long entry somewhere around the 22. Seems like instead of coming back down sharply, we start making that range, which is fine. Let's just get rid of this. All right, let's re-add our analysis. So far, we're still bearish. We already have our peak performance, and seems like, again, we could be having one of there we go, one of this movement like that, which indicates a possible run up. So coming back down, coming up, little retracement and further continuation, coming back up, coming back down, little retracement, all right, and then further continuation. So we'll see if we can catch that. That will depend, of course, on our flip of the ribbon right here. So we'll see if that happens. So far, we did range on areas of ranging, all right. And right now, I don't see any smart money entries so far. So that will come into a little bit of deception for me, or like disappointment, because I was expecting an area of re-entry right here on my VRVP. Still, our support, or our big support zone, it comes at 22.33, or even as we had it before, 21.45. So looking for those areas of support for then come back in. So if we see a sell-off, well, it's not bad. We're just looking for reposition ourselves. And that's what I got on the altcoin side. Let me pass it over to you, Piper.
Awesome. Shout out to Jerome Powell. We got Jerome Powell in the chat right now. Appreciate seeing you here, man. Please keep it at 25 basis points today. Don't do 50. You'll wreck everything. And also Rashad as asking the question, you got about 3 hours and 3 minutes before the rate cut happens, about 3 hours and 33 minutes from now until Jerome Powell starts speaking. Of course, he's hanging out with us right now in the chat. He could have answered that for us. But yeah, guys, today, going to be a lot of volatility, I think. Keep in mind, the index is showing that we are in alt season. I do want to leave you guys with a little hopium here. Alt season, altcoins, small caps in the stock market. They kind of go hand in hand, right? Post pause, meaning we had a rate cut and then we paused and then we do more rate cuts, a year later. Post-pause rate cuts have been a very good setup for small caps, history shows. If history is any guide, small stocks could get an outsized boost from a Federal Reserve rate cut Wednesday and any that may follow for the rest of the year. According to this, I've told you guys it's about a 22% for the S&P 1 year later. Small caps, 35%. So there you go, right there behind OC's head. 35% for the small caps, the Russell 2K there, 12 months following a post-pause. So could we see that translate over to altcoins? We are in that alt season, so we'll see. That's only in the top 50. Keep that in mind, guys. It's not everything. It's not your meme coins. It's alt season for top 50, according to that metric. That's the methodology. Top 50, not including stable coins or native tokens. So hype not in there, okay? That's what we got today, guys. We're about to head over to Crypto Coin Mindset and TI Joe going live here in like 2 minutes, guys. We appreciate you all joining us here. If you guys are in the chart hackers, we will see you there today. We're going to be starting a little bit early. If you guys are not in the chart hackers, go to Alex O Crypto and watch him. He's going to be live today during the speech and live trading that. So appreciate everyone. We will be back here tomorrow morning. OC will be live tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yep. Okay. And then BC Port Corp tomorrow morning, bringing in Good Morning Crypto. We'll be back at 10 a.m. to talk about what the hell happened today. Give you guys what you need to know for going into the rest of the week. You guys have a great day. Trade safe. Use some risk management. And as always, peace, love, profits. And as Alexander G says, Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Later, guys.
That's the rap. Chart stack data never lie. Piper led the mission, OC in the sky. Spaghetti on the screen, but the vision stay prime. Chart prime visual signals on time. Alumni strong, we built from the grind. Lessons in the market that'll outlive time. Knowledge is profit, you know how we run. Till the next one, stay sharp, get it done.
You can't handle the truth. Emotional damage.
We'll see you at the next
They
one.
don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Morning market report out.
Boom shakalaka.
We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report out. We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report. Ow.
That was awesome, dude.
Hey, it didn't break. What else you got?